You're listening to The Sister Trill with Danai and Kiveli.
Hello and welcome back to The Sister Trill. I'm Danai.
And I'm Kiveli.
And today we will be talking about the probably most requested topic that we always get, which is whether there is competition between us, whether we are jealous of each other, how our whole sister dynamic works. We're sisters who both work in the same business. We're both classical pianists. So we actually are potentially in competition in many different fields.
Absolutely. Also, we are at first glance, I would say, very similar looking, also very similar character at first, which is weird because we're actually so different.
Yes, yeah.
But many people, I would say, tend to put us in a very similar category.
Exactly. We're only 4 years apart.
Yes. We play the same instrument, not just in the same industry. So, I mean, let's just say there's lots of potential for friction.
Exactly.
If we would let that happen.
Which, let's see what that is all about. But before we get into the episode, let's talk about what we disagreed on this week.
Right. So I would have to say, first of all, that I'm super excited for this episode because we actually haven't properly seen each other in 10 days. We recorded last week's episode in the beginning of the last week, and this episode literally like a couple of hours before it's going to go online because you were at a festival and I was doing some things and then I was at home. And I think like this is the first time we're going to properly sit down and have a conversation.
Yes.
in these after these 10 days. So that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that. As for what we disagreed on, I mean, it's actually quite the opposite is what we agreed on because today is Friday and I planned to go out tonight, which I'm gonna do. And because you came back so late in the week, it was like our only day to record this episode. So usually we record in the evening after your kids have gone to bed. So I asked you whether it would be possible to record in the morning this time because while your kids are in kindergarten because I want to go out in the evening. And you bargained, but we came to a very satisfying agreement. Yeah. So
basically right now it is not nighttime, our usual recording time. It is daytime. Coffee. And Cheers. It is the holy time of the time where my kids are in kindergarten, which is the time where I get to be productive and practice and do whatever I need to do, like record this podcast. And usually we record this in the evening because I also feel like we don't really need to focus. It's just a casual conversation. Yeah. But yesterday evening you were out. Let's mention that as well because yesterday would have been an option to record it late in the evening.
No, but I mean, the thing is, Corona is, it's not over for crying out loud, but, things are opening up again. It's possible to go out again. And, I'm at that stage in my life where I really want to make the most out of it.
No, I mean, as Kiveli said,
totally
we didn't disagree on it. We just, it was something that we discussed and obviously we agreed on it and we're doing it now. And Kiveli's cooking as a thank you. So
I'm cooking for you. So that's what I'm going to be doing
Kiveli's
after
making
this
lunch. episode. Okay, so let's get into this whole topic.
Yeah.
So as we already said in the beginning, we obviously have many areas where we could potentially get into each other's fields and in each other's hair. And I wanted to ask you, what is the very first time that you remember that you felt some kind of jealousy, towards me?
I think the first time I felt jealous was when you signed with your first agency. Probably not
the
your
small
first
one.
I'm trying to remember, like definitely when you signed with your second agency, which was bigger, and I was also more aware of what it meant. I was definitely, I would say, I felt a kind of increase in our distance from each other in a way. But even, I would say, when you signed with your first agency, I wasn't really jealous because I was far younger. I mean, you signed with your first agent when you were like 17 or something
16.
like that, 16, 17. So, I mean, I was 12, I was 13. I really did not have an eye for like career and what that meant at all. But I remember that was the beginning when you started kind of playing concerts that I was not a part of. Because up until that point, I would say every concert that you and I played, we played together. We had this thing that we would play...
Well, no, not every concert. By far not, actually, if I think about it.
No, because I mean, the main concerts that I remember from that time, like from before your first agency, right?
Yes.
So that means when you were 15 or just 16, we had like the category of concert that was final concerts of masterclasses that we played most of it together. I mean, I know that there was this period that we just discussed in the previous episode as well. But I mean, there was that category. Then there was the category where we used to share recitals, where we used to do basically you play the first, I play the first half, you play the second half, and maybe we play like one or two pieces together. And of course, there were the other categories like here and there, mini orchestra projects and stuff like that. But they were often within a framework.
I was thinking more of like all my different chamber music partners.
Yeah, but there were
that was like my own thing.
That's true.
Because I had a lot of chamber music things actually going on, and then also even earlier the piano duo I had with this other girl.
Yes, but there are basically didn't play piano yet. I mean, I wasn't playing it.
No, but I mean the chamber music. I thought.
Yeah, but that's true. The chamber music was a thing, but I meant more on the solo.
Okay,
So that was like the first time you started doing stuff. But at that point, as I said, I was so young and so uninfluenced by it. It wasn't really jealousy. But I remember when you signed with your second agency, where I think I was already studying when you signed with your second agency. So I was definitely at that point I was aware of what it meant to sign with a bigger agency. Yes. And I was aware of like that, what a boost to a career that is. And I remember at that point, I would say, had to confront that fact.
That's interesting that you mentioned that, because when I signed with them, I didn't feel your jealousy at all. I felt it in different situations. Like I thought that you would have now mentioned something else.
Interesting. When did you feel it?
For example, I felt it, I mean, this is even later on, but I felt it when, again, agency related, when I was talking to an agency, like potentially discussing a signing that maybe you were also
I remember that.
There I felt a strong, but that was my territory kind of thing.
I know what discussion you're referring to. Because I mean, at that point, it's always, I think that
I felt that with the other one, I felt a lot of support.
Yeah, but I mean, that's, I think, also one of the main things about why we work so well together, despite all the potential friction, is, I mean, you've done the same thing with me as well, but in that situation, I did it, that separate feelings of jealousy or feelings of discomfort, which obviously comes from the fact that I'm in that moment feeling insecure about my progress in the career, and separating that from the fact that you have to, you're obviously happy for the progress of the other person and you're supportive of that.
Yeah.
And those are two different things that shouldn't be conflated, which I think that most of the time we've always been able to separate that. With some effort, obviously, but we've always been able to separate those two.
That's also my next question. When we say, I felt jealousy, what does that mean exactly? Does it mean you would have been happier if I didn't get that deal, for example, because it probably doesn't mean that? Or what does it mean exactly, this I felt jealous?
I would say, for me, it meant the thing is that I think we've always been very aware and supportive of our respective qualities and the fact that we deserve success, because of the fact that we've put the work in. But no, the jealousy, I think, for me was always a worry about how it would influence my career. First of all, like the same worry I would have if anyone that's close to me would make this huge jump. It's kind of like someone made this jump. Maybe I need to put some effort into making some kind of jump as well. You know what I mean? Like there's that kind of comparing yourself to others, which is not healthy, but also kind of a natural thing that especially people that are in a competitive environment do, and it's also kind of also motivating in a way. And then there is, I would say, the second step that is far more specific to our situation, which I would say we had to really talk about and wrestle with for some years and be open about it, and we were open about it, which is obviously the fact that, does a step up in your career necessarily mean a narrowing of space for my career? That was, I think, the big question for, or the other way around, of course, right?
Because I think it's interesting the way you put it, because for me also, if I think about times where I've felt, jealous, if this is the right word to use, it's also when I felt like it had the potential to take away from me. Not jealous in the sense of, why does she have that? I don't want her to have it. I always want you to have it. It's more like, okay, but what about me now?
Exactly. It's always
kind of the
and I would
process.
say that there are some spaces.
Because, maybe I just wanted to mention when I think about when have I felt jealous of you, I must say there are not many times, to be honest. Like really this jealousy feeling, maybe it's also because I'm the older sister, but I mean, really, truly, my main feeling towards you is, I'm happy for you. But when I think
you're also a generally less jealous person.
Generally in life.
Your personality,
right.
with anything,
Yes, for sure. But like the one thing that definitely pops into my mind is that when we have a festival that we organize together, and during the third edition, I was not there because I was giving birth, and somehow I didn't realize it during that, when I was not there during my absence, but I realized it somehow in the year following that. I had this feeling, maybe it's also nonsense, but I had this feeling that because I wasn't there and because you totally stepped up and, took over responsibility, like a new dynamic somehow was created where you were suddenly, obviously, I mean, because you had to be the center of it all. And also it not so much organization wise, but also more like geared towards the musicians, I was thinking, because you were the only person there and like I didn't exist in that year. Suddenly you were the main person.
I didn't notice that at all.
And for example, that translated into, for example, chamber music partners or things like that, where maybe before I thought this was somehow obvious to me that this would be my partner, or then suddenly this would become your partner, and I would think like, okay, wow, I thought to myself, I missed 1 year and this happened now. Okay.
Interesting. I didn't notice that, not even for 1 second.
Yeah.
First thing, like it's the first I'm hearing of this. That is super interesting. Yeah. No. I mean, I think the basic question always that, and the reason why it's such a tricky one is because you can't just say, no, of course there is space for everyone, is there are certain, the microphone issue. There are certain things that happen to, let's just say, your career that don't influence my career at all. It's just amazing that that happened for you and it doesn't change anything for me, and the other way around. And then there are certain things that happen that, of course, in a way, I would say excludes that step for me. Or it definitely like takes away the...
it's a lower probability.
It's a lower probability that it will happen for me. And for those situations where it is that way, there is one very important thought that you have to keep in mind to kind of balance that out. Otherwise, it would just be It's the thing that for every time where there is this, what I would call like a narrowing of space or room for the other person's career, there is another situation, and those really come just as often, maybe even more often, where a step in your career means a kind of support of my career as well.
Yeah.
And that where it means, okay, like there is a door opens up where maybe you take this corridor, but I can automatically, I automatically have the way to take a different corridor, but through the same door in a way. So, and that's, I think, where you always have to keep it in perspective.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. I would say, it's again, the second sister, the younger sister thing. I think that there was definitely a difficult phase for me when I was really at a different point in my career than you, because of the age difference, because of,
just
starting to study in a moment where you had, just signed with your first, let's say, big agency, right? And things like that. But I would say also definitely we were both fortunate enough to find our own also kind of different camps, that now there is this balance, that of course even now there are situations where it's like this consciousness of it's an either you or me situation. But for every either you and me, there is also a situation of you and me situation.
Yes. Yeah.
And that, of course, is a huge plus.
I mean, I think the overall picture is absolutely that, as you said. I mean, we've also had this conversation very often just between us, without anybody listening. Yeah. And I always say, yes, there are difficult moments, but there are so many moments where we're lucky and where one of us cancels and the other one can get the concert. Or, a promoter only knows us because they know the other sister.
Yes. Yeah.
Or where they say, oh, actually come as a duo.
Yeah.
So all this, of course, is in the end more valuable and actually more of a push to our careers than the downside. But I still want to ask you, how did you overcome the jealousy? Or how do you do it when it comes up? And maybe, not just that, like seeing the bigger picture, but actually like in that situation, yes, this agency came up, and what did you do for it to go away? Or did it not go away?
I mean, no. I mean, the truth is that at that point where that happened, it was probably the toughest, I would say, situation, because there actually was a difference in our career. There was actually, you were at a different stage than I was at on a real level, you know? So I think at that point, for me, it was, on the one hand, I had so many different things that took my focus. I just started studying, like my life was getting fulfilled from many different places, not just the area of the career, that I was not at all generally,
distraught.
Distraught, I was very happy.
Yeah.
And what that meant is that within my general happiness and fulfillment and excitement about where I was in my life, my playing did get better, to a point where people started pointing out to me that my playing was worthy. and that helped me a lot. Like, because there is the one area of confidence where's your career at, where it's definitely an important thing. But then there is also your confidence of where's your playing at, because those two things needn't always be proportional to one another.
The same thing.
And I think that I got a lot, like what I did is I got a lot of confidence from where my playing was at. And both because I actually, started really thinking about what I do want to be known for in my playing, what I think reflects who I am, what I'm particularly good at. I started really trying to be individual and I think that was the big thing for me. Like, I really focused on my playing. And then the other thing was that as my playing got better, and this is not a process of 1-2 months, like a process of years, Obviously, my career got better.
Yeah.
And then from a certain moment where I realized that my career had taken this next big step, it was like, actually, it wasn't anymore. Like, there wasn't anything to be jealous about anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I started feeling, okay, now there is, again, some, some balance going on between our two careers, and that obviously then didn't take away the jealousy because I was the bigger person, but there was nothing to be jealous anymore about.
But basically what you're saying is you worked on it by focusing on yourself and by working on yourself and improving your skills, because that's what it is. Focusing on your playing. Because I think, this is great advice for anybody listening who is jealous of somebody else, be it someone close or someone not close. Direct that energy towards you and work on yourself to get better.
Yeah. One of my favorite lessons in one of the 2 books by Jordan Peterson is one, because, as I said, I've always struggled much more with this comparing myself to other people, jealousy things, in anything, not at all just in the realm of career and business, is, I'm not going to quote it 100%, but basically it comes down to compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today.
Yeah.
Which is such incredible advice. I remember I read that and I was like, wow. Like, it was literally like a switch of perspective. But of course, this is exactly what it is.
Exactly.
Because you're always going to be more fortunate or better at certain things than others, but you're always also going to be less fortunate or worse at things than others. And if you constantly focus on that, that's nothing you can, you can't influence that. But what you can influence is being more fortunate and better than you were yesterday. And
exactly. And when you feel that someone else has something that you want, then you can start working towards getting that. Because it's exactly the same for me. Whenever I felt a tinge of, I feel like that's unfair, it has actually inspired me more, to work harder or in a different direction, whatever it means. And this also brings me to my next question, which is, do you think that this, what might start as a bit of a negative, let's say as what we call jealousy, do you think that this could actually end up in being such a thing as healthy competition between us, where we inspire each other to work harder? Would you say there is a healthy competition between us?
To be honest, I don't think there's healthy. I don't think there is any competition. Therefore, it's not healthy or non-healthy competition. To be honest, I've also never been the type of person to be motivated by someone else's achievements. That's not something that works for me. Like, for example, I think about this symbol of like the plank wars, plank competitions that you and your boyfriend did with each other. Like, the fact that, I feel like I know how well I can plank, right? And I know that if I push myself, I can maybe plank 20 seconds longer than what I think I can or something like that. But if I have someone next to me that is a better planker than me, it's like, well, I'm like, that's not going to motivate me more than my own thoughts.
Yeah.
But I think that's also more of a personality
You're not
thing.
a very competitive person in general.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I also don't like the motivation of it. Like, I feel like the in a competition you want to win, right? Why do you want to win is the question. Because if it's you want to be better at something, I want to be better at it because I love the thing, not because I want to be better than someone else, you know? So I'm not a competitive person.
I mean, I can tell you why you want to win.
Right.
Because the fact that there is the competition gives you that extra kick to be better than what you can actually be without the competition.
Yeah.
That's what it is in the end.
Yeah.
You prove to yourself that you can go even further than you expected.
Right.
It's why a runner will run his best time during the competition and not during training. Because there's the extra kick. But anyway, that's if you're a competitive
I understand
person.
and it's probably something that I could work on, or I could at least like try out, because I'm sure that it can be a great motivator.
It's why we sometimes play better on stage than in the practice room.
Yeah, but
it's
you
not
see,
a competition, but it's the kick.
Exactly.
So,
but totally. But that's because of how much we are passionate about what we're doing. We want to.
But you're assuming that in the competition you're passionate about that as well. If you're a competitive person, then you might even be passionate about the game of charades.
Right.
In that moment.
No, like, I think that the thing is, because I've never been like this naturally, I'm never like, I want to win.
Yes, I understand.
It's I want to do something important.
Because, I think on an abstract level, I could imagine that jealousy between siblings, if handled in a healthy and productive way, can turn into healthy competition. But I would completely agree with you and say that there is no healthy competition between us at all. Because this is why I thought it would be interesting to talk a little bit about our approach. Because in the beginning, we very much said, yes, directed towards yourself, which is going into that direction of healthy competition. But in reality, in the end, what we do is just give each other unconditional support.
Yes.
And it's not, okay, I'm going to go that extra step, but it's more like, you did this, okay, I'm going to take away my own selfish thoughts for a minute and actually say, well done, and do you need help? I'm here for you. It's really a type of unconditional support that I think ensures that we don't get
and I think
incredibly
that, by
jealous.
the way, because it's not just that we're like that towards each other, but we're also like that towards whatever, if you want to call it the business or like the industry in a way, because we have that same attitude, I think it encourages both musicians, organizers, agencies, whatever, to not see us as exclusive candidates, but sometimes inclusive candidates, to be like, okay, obviously they can harmonize, they can they can cooperate with each other, it's not like, ooh, if I do something with that person, the other person is off limits,
because I just wanted to say that there are siblings in the industry that are both individually very successful, that exist, for example, on different instruments, like I don't want to mention any names, but that absolutely have a horrible relationship with each other, that the bass barely talk to each other, and they each have their own big careers, and this somehow, what's missing is this fusion of they could play together, they could become even bigger, but somehow they don't. And I think what's missing is this unconditional support.
And I mean, it is, and I would say with playing the same instrument is even tougher, because if it's different instruments, then if it's cello and violin, doesn't necessarily have to clash. But if it's the same instrument, I mean, there's very few repertoire that you need four hands and other people for, Although there is some
Bartók,
really good
Sonata.
There's some awesome. I was thinking about like singing repertoire that we did this project with singers and for piano, four hands, which we need to program at the festival.
For sure.
Just
we need four singers, though.
Well, I've got some singers in mind. But but it's I mean, it's interesting because, again, I mean, I think that the fact that we've always been so close on a personal level has always helped, that we're like kind of, obviously we're going to be supportive of each other.
Would you say that in the end, the sibling love, that is there, overrules
for sure
striving in, on the business level?
And I think that we're both also, I mean, you're definitely more competitive than me, but you're not competitive at a rate that you would be willing to jeopardize family ties.
No, that never.
You know, like we both don't have this.
I mean,
I would
like
walk
in a fun
over
way.
fire for my career. You know, not at all. And I mean, I think that is, there are some people that are really so focused on that element of their lives that everything else pales in comparison.
Yeah.
And I would say, although you are more competitive than me, you're still competitive at a rate where I would say we would never backstab each other ever.
No, yeah,
that would
that would be unthinkable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, being a sibling who somehow takes away something from you, as you say, like backstabbing, that would really never happen. I mean, if it happened, I would feel like we don't know each other.
No. I mean, and also, what would it mean exactly? But I mean, and I said,
we would also, for example, never badmouth each other.
Yeah,
to someone in the industry.
Of course,
no matter what's going on between us, we would always present a united front. Always, like I would always suggest you to a promoter. I would always say,
of course,
invite my sister.
Of course,
she's great.
But I mean, there is a very easy reason why, and again, that goes back to the point of also being honest, is that because we don't think that the other person is lesser or anything like that. Like we do, but like if I would recommend you, I wouldn't recommend you because you're my sister. I'd recommend you because I think you can play a moving concert. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I think sometimes what I would really struggle with is if I would have a sibling that's, not very
that you're
good,
not convinced by.
Convinced by it, and then what do you do? Like I've had that sometimes with people that maybe I've been close to on a more personal level, but not on a musical level, and then it's like let's play together and it's it's this thing of like
awkward.
And this is really difficult because I mean you can't be like, sorry, I don't like the way you play, you know what I mean? And at the same time you'd never comfortably be like, yeah, of course, let's recommend you to whatever this big promoter that I just met.
And I think also that it comes down to what we talked about in our fighting episode, that when we criticize each other or give each other advice, it's kind of an unwritten rule that we don't really get offended.
Yeah.
If you say, I think this could be better, for example, in my playing, I will not get offended. I take it as constructive criticism and vice versa.
Exactly, because that's what it is in a way.
That's how it's meant.
The probably the most, like the biggest thing we've done together that I would say has influenced both of our careers in such a beautiful way is, of course, the festival.
Yes. Yeah.
Which again was not born out of any type of career oriented thoughts or anything like that, but I would say there it's probably where we because usually when we get asked for concerts, one of us gets asked, right? It's not like they ask, who of you wants to play this concert? Decide. No, it's like I get an offer, you get an offer, and sometimes we get offers together, and that's the way it goes. But of course, with the festival, we program stuff, and then we decide who plays what, right? Yeah. And there are some obvious ones, like if one of us has played the piece and the other one hasn't, then obviously the one that has played it plays that, But every time there are some things that one of us wants to play more, or we're like, but this is a musician that I've played with more. Sometimes certain musicians come
only once.
Expecting that they're going to play with one of us because, like, I don't know, it's like a program that we've played before, or we're preparing for another concert or things like that. But and then there is also the playing thing of how much does each of us play, which again comes with like a caveat, because on the one hand, of course, we want to play the same amount. On the other hand, sometimes if you have to learn a piece that is just like you're only going to play once and it's tricky and everything, you're like, it's also maybe you don't want to play it.
But in that we take each other's wishes and concerns totally seriously. We never laugh at each other, we don't get it. We just say, okay, everyone puts out their entire thoughts and feelings, and then we take it from there. And I think that's
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I think we're also very fair-oriented people.
Yes.
Like we both lay high value on fairness and like balance and equality.
Equal opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, it's obvious that if one of us gets like 2-3 opportunities within one festival repertoire, we're gonna be like, okay, you need also these 2-3 opportunities within that festival repertoire. It's not like, I need more or things like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So but that's, I would say, always the one where it's like the most actual, like on a practical level, like who's going to play what, why, with which person, and then of course other areas come in, like playing with this cute guy that you really like I want to play with that person, or like and all these things. So
So I mean, we were obviously talking about jealousy on a professional level, which is also, I guess, the main thing. But would you say that there is any kind of jealousy between us on a personal level, or have you ever been jealous of a personal success of mine? Or I don't know, does that even exist for you?
Not for a very, very, very long time. But again, I mean, it is once again this kind of younger sister getting to see all these things much earlier.
So you're speaking about teenagers,
times. Yeah,
okay. Like, I mean, maybe that doesn't count in a way.
No,
right?
but I mean, it doesn't count. But I think it's interesting because I think, it's also maybe a bit of when people see us, they might think that, everything just came so naturally.
Right, okay.
And they always just, put their relationship above everything else. And there's always some truth to that as well. But things don't necessarily come naturally. And it's always a choice of what you choose to highlight when you think about the relationship. For example, I remember in the years when I was maybe 13 and you were 17, things like that, and you were and we would go to festivals together. No, even maybe a bit older. When I was maybe 16, 17, you were 20, 21, and we would go to festivals together, and I was still, too young to be part of the, I would say, flirtatious, adventurous dynamic of a festival, but old enough to, obviously have feelings of attraction to people and stuff. And you were 2021, which is of course smack in the middle when these things are like super, just as important as the pieces that you play at a festival. And I remember at that point always noticing that people would treat me differently because I was younger.
Yeah.
And you were older, and that translated for a long time just super honestly. I mean, I can't imagine feeling like that now, but it was the truth. I remember thinking those thoughts that you must be more attractive than me. You must be more desirable than me. And I remember especially also sticking puberty into that dramatic mess and everything, and thinking to myself, I will never, whenever we both meet a guy, the only way that I have a chance with that guy, if we both like him, is if you are already taken, or if you, are interested in someone else.
Yeah.
Because a guy is never going to choose me over you. That was what I was thinking. And of course I was young and it was...
We have a whole episode on that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was just a general, relationship to self-worth that develops throughout, your teenage years that played a role as well. But that was specifically when we're talking about jealousy and insecurity. Like, that was when I felt like, if you liked someone, I didn't even have a chance. So that kind of,
okay.
In that type of way.
Yeah.
But changed naturally over time.
Yeah.
But even then, and that's why I think it would be important to talk about it, I remember that my reaction to it was not, okay, I'm going to go out and meet people without you. But my reaction to it was, okay, I know that I'm not unattractive by myself, So if Danae is that incredibly desirable, attractive person, then, let's go out together. Let's multiply what we have to offer.
That's interesting.
Rather than detract
it made
from
you
it.
actually come even closer to me.
Exactly. Like, I realized,
rather than apart.
And I obviously also took it as like, maybe I can learn things from you and see how you handle yourself, blah blah blah. I mean, which of course then it's like this border between imitation and just which also had a whole different consequence that we have spoken about in our relationship episode a couple of weeks ago. But that was definitely a part where, again, I think it's so natural. Also, again, for girls, same business, we know the same people, we have similar like first personality traits and things like that it's not necessarily natural that there's never going to be a guy we both like, or it's always going to be perfect, the ones that I like me back, the ones that you like you back. But again, it's this process of how do you choose to handle it? And again, I chose to handle it by getting closer to you and not like being, okay, now I'm going to need my own space, rather than demonizing you for it or something like that. And of course, with time, I also understood I was just too young. Obviously, when I was 18, 19, everything changed for me as well. Yeah. Obviously.
For me, I don't think I was ever jealous of like a, let's say, personal success or, anything like that. If I was jealous of anything, it was more like jealous of your carefreeness, like carefree spirit or something like that. But I had when I was thinking about this question, I was thinking of it from the other side that, of course, I did feel when, it was coming from your side sometimes, and that what it changed in me was sometimes I tried to downplay certain things. In the most different fields, maybe professionally sometimes, maybe also personally sometimes, to not give you the feeling of, look, this is something great. I try to make myself, and this is what I'm saying now is especially like later on, in the recent years, make myself maybe a bit less cool than what I thought this specific event actually was. And then in order to somehow, not give you a base for jealousy or something. So this is maybe more what I connect to it. But anyway, my last question before we get into the stories is, where are we now? Is there a tinge of jealousy? Are we always exclusively happy for each other? Like, where are we now?
Well, I mean, I would definitely say that, as with everything else, we're at the best place we've ever been, for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we're also, old enough to have gone through, steps already, and like now not feel like there is like some catching up in any direction.
And we've talked about everything so intensely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that most of the time, I think our careers flow quite naturally next to each other. I mean, there are many points, of course, where we cross. I mean, whether it is the festival, whether it is concerts that we play together.
But in a positive way.
In a positive way. Most of the time, it really just flows very naturally. Yeah. We've both carved out kind of our respective spaces. And in the room, of course, there's always room to upwards. Like, we're rarely clashing in a way that, presents a problem. I would say when there is a point, of course, sometimes still, there are moments of, contacts that we both have or we both get at the same time, and then it's a bit of a question how to handle it, things like that. I think that we are very honest about it, very open about it. And I think that the one thing that we need to always keep reminding ourselves in these situations when they do come up is to remember that this exclusionary perspective of, okay, we have to decide either you or me now, that maybe that is a bit too doomsday perspective. Yeah. Maybe that's actually not the way it is. Yeah. Like more and more I realize that there is room for you and me rather than, like even with the same contact, even with the same organizer, especially though with like the same musicians, there are very few people, and even there, even if it's someone that one of us has played with significantly more, I think even there, so what if one of us plays a concert with them, or and what if like there is an ensemble situation, and especially there's so much intersectionality within this business, chamber music groups, halls, festivals, projects and things like that, and I just think that this is already what we're doing, but whenever an issue like that comes up, I think what we need to do is be like, try that both of us get that chance. Like really make an effort instead of who is going to get that chance. No, we're going to try that both of us are going to get that chance. And I think that is when we can really turn this potentially really tricky thing into a superpower. Yeah.
And I think that we're actually already doing that. I mean, I wouldn't say that we are at a, jealous point right now. I think we are, as you said, at our best point. Yeah. And also our worst point was never that bad. Yeah. So, I think that you can really say that we are very much happy for each other.
Yeah, and, for sure.
In almost every single event that happens. And as you said, in the few where difficulties might arise, we have definitely found ways to handle it and to maybe even make it an advantage for the both of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, do you have a story on that subject? I have to. Because I have one. I can go first.
Okay,
if you
go
want.
First.
Then
go
you
first,
can
maybe.
think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, my story is a little bit connected to what I mentioned before when I said that, I tried, for a while, I tried to downplay some achievements in order to not, get a reaction that maybe was not so pleasant inside of you, not that you ever showed it.
Yeah.
But, so in that story, it's a quite recent one. It happened about a year ago. I got signed by a label, and I remember that I was sitting at my iPad and I was reading that email. And it was of course, it was a long process before, and there was we were talking about this for a long time, and we didn't know, was it going to happen? Was it not going to happen?
Yeah.
And then finally, I got this email confirmation, it happened, like it worked out, the deal was done. And I remember reading it, and inside of me thinking like, oh my God, it happened, so happy. And then on the outside, I remember you were at the table, and my partner was also at the table, and I remember I said, oh, it worked out. I got signed. It happened, and that was it. And like looked back on my iPad, and you were like, "What do you mean? Oh, I got signed."
I remember that.
You were like, "Hello, you got signed," and you like created this whole celebration.
Yeah, it was a cool moment.
Celebratory dance, and then going and then we actually had like a 3-minute party.
Yeah, it was quite a thing. And I mean, I recorded that CD.
Yeah, it's recorded. And it's coming out next year. And, a 3-minute party. And I felt like this was like a moment for me where I thought, okay, wow, there is almost nothing left of that where I should be careful. Because like I was being careful and you were like, hello, you're stupid.
I mean, when I say like this like, you and your partner are not, I would say, very prone to enthusiastic outbursts of like celebration. No matter what happens, like your partner regularly comes down and is like, yeah, I just did this deal for huge, copious amounts of money. And I'm like, is that a moment for a hug maybe? like, maybe time to like be a bit like, woo, celebratory about something. And I remember that. And I was like, and because you've been working for that for months, like phone calls and this and that. And then you were like, oh, cool, I got signed. And as if you were like, oh, cool, like, I don't know, this bread I like is back in the supermarket. And I was like, what? And I remember that.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
But I thought it was so nice because, it was something where maybe in the past it would have been like, oh, okay, that's a step or whatever happened for me. But it was the total opposite.
Yeah. So, nice moment. Yeah. So,
so that's my
out
story.
Next year.
Exactly.
My
Stay
story.
tuned.
I mean, I don't know. The only story that keeps coming out is actually not necessarily on point. I just remembered because you were talking about the third festival where you had given birth, and I was there. And I remember, I mean, for me, it was extremely tough that I wasn't there at the birth. That, like, I mean, we already knew that, obviously, that I was going to be in Greece. I mean, that did not come as a surprise to anybody. But I remember that basically I didn't see him for about 2 weeks or even more. Maybe like
3, something like
2.5 weeks. I think he was born on the 9th and I came back on like the 24th or something like that, right? So it was like 2 weeks and maybe a day or something like that. And I remember that you would send me like, videos all the time. And for some reason, I remember this one video because it was just where you sent me and it was his first hiccups.
Yes, I remember
it was like
video.
On the second day or maybe the third day and you were there and you were like his first hiccups and he was just like there and, and I felt like, what am I doing here? I need to be there, And I remember and it was like the first this and you were just sending these pictures. He was just so cute. So I don't know. I just remember that, and I remember that video.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I have that video
so
to this day.
Big competition there. No, you saw the first hiccups of my son. That's her contribution to the. Is there competition between the sisters?
No,
episode?
wait. Okay, fine. I'm gonna think of another.
No,
story
let's
as well.
keep it. No, I love it. Like we're talking about, I don't know, something blue, and you came here and started talking about the black and white era.
No, wait. I'm gonna think about something else because I mean there is so much. I mean the truth is that. It's that the reason why I can't come up with like the one big story is because every little story I'm thinking about is a different version of the same thing, which is of course every time when I've had an insecurity, how to handle whether it is a concert or how to handle a meeting with someone, how to handle whatever, a recording. Many times it was in a situation where you have already had an experience similar to that. Or even if you hadn't, like, many times, and obviously there is this clear thing. I can always call you. I can always, you'll always give me like, a right boost and the right perspective. Like, I know that you're always there, like thinking about me and supporting me before every difficult situation.
Yeah.
And obviously, because we know so well how it feels like to be on stage, what situations are more tricky, which situations are easier, which situations are more, okay, this is not very difficult now. And we know exactly what falls into what category. So obviously there is always this, I can always call you. And I've called you many times, or even just spoken to you about it before.
Yeah.
And I mean, the reason why I couldn't come up with like the one story is because it's many mini versions of that same story, And it goes to anything, whether it is like, do I look good in this outfit? I want to like pull off this particular look in this concert. Whether it is like a weird conversation with a conductor, whether it is, a weird story of an important person flirting with me in anything. Like it's so many levels to it, whether it is really something pertaining to a rehearsal or playing. So, but that's, that's of course more the incomparable privilege of being in the same industry and the same business that we have. And
supporting each other.
Exactly.
So I think that's a good point to end it. We support each other.
Exactly. Yes.
And our next episode is going to be in the spirit of Halloween.
Exactly.
And it's going to be very different. We're going to be talking about our maybe like paranormal or scary experiences that we have had. So very Halloween oriented. So
we're going to see you next
tuned for
week.
that.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to The Sister Drill with Danae and Kiveli.